Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Analytical Fanboys. I am your host, the Vacuuminator, and this week, me and my prodigious co-host, Boingo Writer, are going to be taking you on a bit of a journey back to a little moment in time, a year I like to call 2009, when we were all 14 years old and thought The Dark Knight was the greatest movie ever made. Because this week we're talking about the Joker blogs, a fan film that follows the Joker from that movie as he enters Arkham Asylum and then escapes into the Batman the Animated Series universe. How are you doing, Chris?
I was doing great up until you did that voice pumped directly into my ears via headphones.
Hey, buddy, you're the one who chooses to wear headphones during this. That's not on me.
I like to have good quality sound, but not when that's the sound.
Fair enough. But yeah, we're talking about the first season because there's technically 3 seasons. There's like a season 1 and a sort of in between sequel.
Betweezen.
Yeah, there's a Betweezen, and then there's a season 2, and that's the entire series of this.
So it's the Lion King model of a trilogy. You have 1, you have a 2, then you have a 1.5.
Yeah. And I've only really seen the first season. I've seen a bit of the Betweezen, but I have not seen any of the second season. Because this is kind of one of those things that is very time capsule-y. I don't really feel like you can do it again. And the first season is kind of all you need. It's a complete story.
Yeah.
So I remember you said this was going to be your first time watching this. So why don't you tell us a little bit of what you thought of the Joker blogs? Because I have mostly positive thoughts, but I'm just interested to hear what your reaction is at the moment.
It's the best way I can put it is it feels very much of when it was made, but it doesn't feel hamstrung by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They did a good enough job preparing everything that it doesn't feel like, oh, we're a bunch of weirdos in 2009 making a fan film. It feels like there's at least effort put into it.
Yeah, it feels like there's actual, like, planning and shit.
Like, they knew, okay, we can't do these kind of things, so let's avoid that and work to our strengths of what we have, which is what I love when you have online video, is less, I want to do this, I want to be Star Wars, I want to do all these kind of things, and more, okay, this is what I can do. How can I use that the most effectively I can?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing as Power Reviews, another thing we've talked quite a bit about that's a fan film. It's very much them going like, okay, we want to do the Nolan first version of the Joker and Harley Quinn meeting and the Joker making her into Harley Quinn. How do we do that on a shoestring budget? Well, found footage and guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah, and like really expertly timed, really well edited guerrilla filmmaking, because it seems like, at least in the second half, they may have drove around for a good couple hours and waited to have like those perfect little moments, or they just like stumbled upon the perfect, like they were in the middle of a park and all of a sudden a helicopter showed above, and it's like, oh my god, they knew, like they were on the ball because they couldn't have planned that.
Yeah, I almost feel like I've watched that a couple different times, just trying to see if there's a cut in there anywhere. Like they got that footage and then they shot the scene around that. But it really, if there is a cut there, I can't tell. It really does look like that happens in the moment.
Yeah, and like they're driving down the city that they're filming in, which they did a really good job not filming their city as if it was their city. It made it feel like Gotham.
Yeah. Well, specifically, there's audio commentaries on the episodes for season 1, and I meant to watch them for this, but I forgot. I think they mention at one point that they are in Illinois, and the Nolan films were shot in Chicago. So that's probably why it looks so similar to the actual Gotham of the films.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's another thing. Like, they knew, okay, we're on the ground. We got to stay this way. We got to film it this way.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, one of the most impressive sequences is just the bit where it's like a montage of them flipping around on the radio while they drive around the city, and the guy who plays the Joker, whose name is Scott McClure, is just like sticking his head out of the car having a ball. And it's like, okay, they had to have shot that at 3 a.m. because otherwise they were going to get like all kinds of pulled over.
Yeah. Like they knew when they could do things, how they could do things. It was really effective filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the first half, because they just had a blank concrete wall and a camera, and that's it.
Yeah, it was probably shot in either like a school or a hospital, I want to say.
Yeah, but it like fits the aesthetic, it fits everything. The costumes were actually pretty good. Like, they got a pretty good Joker suit, and the jumpsuits were pretty well done.
Yeah, and like even when the seams do start to show a bit, it all works because there's that constant discussion in the first half where like Jeremiah Arkham and Harlan Quinzel are talking about like how the hospital's having trouble getting funding because these videos are getting out. And I really do like that the premise of the series is diegetic, that these are actual therapy sessions being recorded at the start and that they're somehow leaking online.
And then it turns into another diegetic that it was evidence acquired at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which also just goes to, they understood, like, here's the thing. There's probably a few people that understand that version of the Joker. Heath Ledger, Christopher Nolan, Christian Bale, they understood that Joker. Mm-hmm. This guy also understands that Joker, because it's not, because everybody goes, oh, he's just a sociopath and kills people. It's like, yeah, that's part of the character, but he's a weirdo, because it feels almost like that Joker and this take on the same Joker, the best way I can put it is like that one dude in art school who just went crazy one day.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of like he's not just a sociopath. He's probably got like a bit of ADHD in there. He's got a bit of obsessive compulsive and just various stuff like that is all mixed into this pot that we're going to call crazy for the sake of this is a comic book supervillain brought to life.
Yeah, but like he didn't play he didn't do an impersonation of Heath Ledger. He took the character that Heath Ledger portrayed and went, okay, I'm going to try and take all these little elements and check marks, but I can't get 100%, so I'm just going to take the coins and buy another product.
Yeah, and I really like that about it, especially. Like, I think that is the selling point of this, because you gotta remember, at the time, there were like 50 different channels of people doing Heath Ledger Joker impressions, because in 2008 and 2009, Heath Ledger Joker was the biggest thing in pop culture.
Yeah.
But people didn't really get it. It was just kind of people putting on the makeup and saying lines from the movie. And at the start, there is a bit of that. Like, the makeup's not the best. It's a bit splotchy. It takes a while before they really get it down. But
they also desaturate the camera, so it's not completely obvious.
Yeah. And he is just, like, in that first two videos, there are a lot of lines from the movie that are lifted, but they don't feel like, oh, he's just quoting from the movie because how do you write for this character when you're not Christopher Nolan? It feels like he's just kind of warming up, getting into the mood, figuring out where he's going to take things from that point and how he plays those lines as himself as opposed to how Heath Ledger played them.
Yeah, and especially because they start quoting and referencing the comics more as it goes by, just because there's only so much of the Joker that they had to work with, and they go, well, we can work with some of the comic.
Yeah, and that's part of why I like this as well, is I joked at the beginning that he escapes into the Batman the Animated Series universe, but it really does feel like that. This feels like this is a bunch of kids who grew up and loved Batman the Animated Series, and then when they became adults, the Nolan films came out and they fell back in love with Batman, and maybe they looked at the comics a bit, but because of their love, they went and made this.
Yeah, but like when he is leaving the Arkham, he is whistling the Joker's theme from the Batman animated series.
Mm-hmm.
And when he then we get to the wedding, which is basically fan service.
Yeah, you got fucking Pamela Isley as the maid of honor. You've got Jack Ryder as the cameraman, which
and
I didn't even
the creeper.
I didn't realize until they said creeper my first time watching it, because Jack Ryder is not a character I'm super familiar with.
There was also Hugo Strange there.
Yeah, and I love that bit in the first half where he takes over for Harleen for one session, and the Joker's just like, I fucked your wife. And he loses it.
I fucked your wife on a waterbed. Because someone else goes like, oh yeah, you got a waterbed, and he's joking. And Hugo goes like, what the fuck you just say?
Yeah.
Also, Hush was there.
Where was he? Was in the wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that.
He's a dude who shows up late. It's like Thomas Elliott or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Like the news network is interviewing him, and he goes like, "My dealings with the Wayne family are very hush hush." And he was
that's probably the only one that slipped by me, but that's really good.
And like he was a recent character too.
Yeah.
At the time. Oh wait, real quick, speaking of Batman, I noticed Tim Drake has a new superhero name. You want to know what it is?
What?
Drake.
Are you joking, or is that real?
That's real. Apparently, Drake's a bird.
Bendis, why? Because I know he's the guy who's writing Tim Drake right now. Bendis, why?
I mean, it's better than going, oh, Nightwing, Red Hood, Robin, Red Robin. Like,
but he's a known associate of Bruce Wayne, so all it takes is for one person to fucking say, "Hey, Tim, watch out!" I mean, Drake, watch out, and people know who the fuck he is.
Yeah, comics are dumb.
Yeah.
Speaking of comics, Penguin was also referenced.
Yeah, the Iceberg Lounge just gets name dropped like nobody's business, and it's great.
Yeah. Also, the security guard who
Lyle Bolton.
Yeah. He's actually a comic book character too.
Yeah, I know of him. And then there's a bit where fucking.
In fact, I think the only character that wasn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think the only character that wasn't a comic character was Pearl, the woman driving.
Yeah. But that's one of those moments where it's like the Joker is saying something terrible, but it's also hilarious. Every oyster has a pearl. Shut up, Pearl.
And also Ted, the homeless bum.
Yeah. Oh my god, Ted was so great. I loved how they did the scary version of the janitor gag from fucking Scrubs. Where he has a different backstory every time you ask him about something.
And it makes total sense that kind of person becomes a minion of the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it fits. It really...
Where he's just been completely shit on by society and he wants to die. And the Joker goes, "You want a job?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
You want a job that's also very, very dangerous and you might die? Sure.
Yeah. Can I have a gun? I don't see why not.
Accidentally shoots it. Your gun privileges are revoked.
Yes.
Like, it's weird how you come to sympathize and empathize with with this Joker because he plays him so magnamoniously. You get drawn into his world very much like Harley Quinn.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting how before YouTube culture was even really established, this series did the ultimate take of the Joker as a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Where he's not necessarily a good person, because nobody's necessarily a good person, but because he's on YouTube and he's saying all these interesting things and doing all this crazy stuff, you're really interested and you want to see what's going on with him, and you're able to sort of click with his mindset while you're watching the videos and actually laugh at his really demented jokes occasionally.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary thing. It's good that like the last episode kind of pulls some of the rug underneath it and makes you go rethink the Joker, so it doesn't just lull you into this mindset, and it makes you question, oh, wait a second, I was just sympathizing with the Joker. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it makes you question that a little bit.
Go ahead.
And it makes you question that a little bit, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. And there's that great moment in the final episode where, do we want to reveal the ending?
We haven't actually revealed the plot.
Well, I thought I had. It's basically just Joker is in Arkham Asylum for the first time in the Nolan universe, and he's having his early sessions with Harleen Quinzel, and is sort of slowly, I wouldn't say falling in love, but getting fascinated by her, and she's getting fascinated by him. And he, at one point, he realizes she has a boyfriend and is about to get married. And so on the night of her wedding, he escapes and goes and crashes the wedding, kills the fiance, and basically makes her go crazy. And while he's doing that, he kidnaps Jeremiah Arkham, the owner and operator of Arkham Asylum, and tricks him into selling it to Lex Luthor.
Yeah, which is nice because they also name dropped Metropolis earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Star Labs.
That's what you call a setup and payoff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that really sells all of it for me. Like I've seen a lot of I saw a lot of videos talking about this show back in the day when it had just finished, and a lot of people said like they didn't like the second half. They felt like they were reaching too far for their budget, and they thought the ending was really stupid and cheesy, that it didn't work with the Nolan films. And I was like, well, it kind of eases you into all that, so I'm fine with it. And also, I think the fact that it's revealed that the entire time the Joker was working towards a goal for somebody who hired him, which is the thing he's also doing in the movie, in The Dark Knight. That's his plan, is he goes and talks a bunch of mobsters into paying him to do the thing he wants to do in the first place.
Yeah.
And then here, Luthor clearly approached him and was like, hey, you're going into Arkham Asylum, get them to sell it to me. I know you can do it. You're crazy, but you're efficient, and you get the job done. You didn't kill Batman, but you basically killed his street cred. And he goes, okay, but I'm gonna try and get in this girl's pants while I'm doing it. That's fine as long as it gets done.
Yeah, that's very Lutherian of Lex.
Yeah,
like that's very much a Lex Luthor plot. Like I can see that in the comics.
Mm-hmm. And it also works with the show itself as an overall piece, because like we talked about earlier, there's clearly a plot and a plan and a lot of setup and payoff here, but there's also a lot of moments that they improvised and just came up with on the spot. And when you get to the end and it's like, that was basically what happened in the story, was Joker had a goal he was working towards, but he had all these other little things come up during that. It's like, oh, it fits. It's nice. It's what's the word?
It's wrapped up in a bow.
Yeah.
But also it kind of also adds another little cool punctuated mark for this take on the Nolan verse, because we have a Lex Luthor, we have a Metropolis, we don't have a Superman.
Yeah.
And it just shows, oh, this world is really fucked.
Mm-hmm. And it also just, like, again, because I'm kind of approaching this from a nostalgia angle, because this was one of the first things on YouTube I was really into. It takes you back to that time of, like, when people were saying, Oh yeah, Marvel's starting up their universe, but DC's gonna do a universe and they're gonna spin it out of the Nolan films. We're gonna get Nolan versus Superman next. It's gonna be really cool. And then that didn't happen.
Yeah. But hey, we got Iron Man.
Yeah.
We got the Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. And we got
now we don't have Iron Man anymore, but we had him.
And then we got Captain Dad America. And then he became Captain Grandpa America.
Then he became... now we got Fat Thor.
Yay.
I fucking dig Fat Thor. I like him.
I dig him when he's in his War Raiders cosplay.
Don't you mean Viking experience?
They are the Viking Raiders of War who like to experience things. I like how I did that joke in both the Endgame podcast and here, and both times you laughed like you'd never heard it before.
I got I'm ADHD. My memory's fucked.
Oh, but no, this is really good, and it still holds up.
Yeah,
I'm happy we did this. I was a bit apprehensive at first. I was like, this is kind of a chintzy fan film from the late 2000s. I don't know if Chris is going to look at me and go, this is the shit you like, or if he's going to like it, but I'm glad
the fan films I watched at around the same time were of way lesser quality.
Yeah.
Because
it could be worse. I could have said, like, let's watch all of the first season of Epic Rap Battles of History.
Yeah, those haven't aged well. The later ones, still pretty good. Current ones that they're releasing right now, nice. But the early ones, eesh.
Yeah.
But no, this was solid, really good. I like how they even played with the fact that a lot of the people that they had to cast were younger, so they played with it a little bit. That the Hugo Strange guy was going bald. That the guy who's playing is basically the guy who plays Arkham is a yuppie guy who inherited everything.
By the way, since you're the Doctor Strange guy, we have to mention that gag/reference was great. Doctor Strange, and I'm Professor Lollipops.
Yeah. Dr. Hugo Strange. And I love how he even went into his comic book motivation in the interviews, like, to understand the Joker, you must understand the Batman. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool.
It's really cool how, like, this whole thing is in the Nolanverse, all the other villains happen because of the Joker. And I feel like if the Nolanverse, if Heath Ledger hadn't died and we had gotten more of Nolanverse Joker, that might have been the direction they'd gone in.
Yeah. And, like, you can see how each of the characters that they would have brought up would make sense in the Nolanverse. Mm-hmm. Hugo Strange just becomes a megalomaniac doctor. We already have Scarecrow, and he shows up with a soul patch.
I love Scarecrow in this, because he's just so apathetic to everything that's going on.
He looks like the kind of dude who listened to AFI in high school.
He looks like he's probably a big Slipknot fan.
He's sitting with the mask over his head in his cell, just listening to Linkin Park. I've become so numb, I can feel you.
Yes. And the fact
just going like, fuck the Batman. I had a cool job. Fuck Batman.
Mm-hmm. And I love that they established that Killer fucking Croc exists in this universe.
Because it was already canon in the Nolanverse because of Gotham Knights.
Yeah. And like the only way that could have been better is if there was some kind of mention about a young actress with a disease going missing, and it's like, oh my fucking god, they referenced Baby Doll. Like,
in the bottom credit crawl of the news show, there was even
that was amazing. It's just like
Victor Freeze was there, Central City.
That's why I say that he escapes into the BTAS universe, because it's just like, here's everything. Just have everyone in this now.
But like, they were really good and judicious on the people they decided to have at the wedding to be the villains, mm-hmm. because Poison Ivy makes sense. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy. But in this world, she could be like an eco-terrorist.
Yeah.
The Creeper is, of course, just a creeper, and it's great. And then Hush is just a cool assassin dude with like bandages on his head, so it makes sense for him to be in that kind of universe.
Yeah, and then you have a random Catholic Irish priest hamming it the hell up.
Fuck, that dude had the shittest Irish accent, but it worked.
It was amazing. He's like the one moment where I think they just said, fuck it, and let's do the funniest, dumbest, hammest shit we can.
Man. Like, it was Nolan verse through a lens of, but let's also have some comic book fun as well, and not just get drowned down and trying to be Nolan.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what really makes it work. Is it's not the typical dude bro. Nolan is the best Batman. Everything should be like Nolan. It's so serious and cool, man. It's so realistic. Nolan's great, but let's get a little fun shit in here, brah.
Let's reference Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
And like they even like I may have misheard or misunderstood the motivation of the scene, but they even like reference the fact that in the comics, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are sometimes a thing, with Harley Quinn going like, "You need yourself a guy," and she's like,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I like that it's not out and out like Poison Ivy's lusting after her. It's like it's probably like at this point in her life, Pamela is starting to question things.
Or not even question things, but more of like, yeah, it'd been better if he also said girlfriend, but whatever.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna.
It's 2008. We're not that progressive just yet.
I ain't gonna bitch you out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I went through the TV trips after I watched the whole thing because I like to do it because it points out things I may have not noticed. Nice. Harley Quinn had blonde highlights in the wedding scene.
Yeah, after Joker frickin' said, "I'm running." Well, he was painting her. He said, "I'm running out of brown. I'm just gonna use yellow. You should think about switching to blonde. It will look good on you."
Yeah, like he is a weirdly good, solid Joker.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like after this, people were saying like, "Oh, he should take over from Ledger in the movies. They should cast him and put him in Dark Knight Rises." Before we knew that movie was going to be called Dark Knight Rises, but I think he's really good for this show, and he could definitely do the role again in something else. But I don't think he's like full on DC. What's the word?
DCEU?
DC commissioned, like an official DC commission thing. I don't think he should ever appear in because the fact that he's the best fan film Joker, in my opinion, is what makes him so great.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with just being in a fan film, especially when the first episode got like 90,000 views.
Yeah.
No, not 90,000, 900,000. I shortchanged them a little bit, like. But yeah, he also had a little bit of the Crow in his face.
That's true. I forgot about that.
It's not just it's not because of how they painted his face. It's more of like his face shape in face paint reminds you of the Crow.
That reminds me. Have you seen a picture of what he looks like without the makeup?
No.
Here's his Twitter, though he's never tweeted.
Huh. You know what? Yeah. It makes sense. It's not bad. Mm-hmm. Handsome dude.
But yeah, this was really great going back to this because I hadn't watched it in like 2 or 3 years. So getting to reconnect with this and just going back to that point in time, and also realizing that it's okay, like as sucky and tragic it is that Ledger died, it's kind of okay that the Joker wasn't in Rises, because this kind of works as just like what happened with him after that movie. This is kind of like he got his own sequel and Batman got his own sequel after Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And for those of you who wanted to see him in Rises, this is a perfect substitute, and I think it works just fine. Like
I'd hesitant to call it a substitute. It's more of like, hey, you like Black Sabbath, but you didn't like the last album. Here's another band that's kind of like Black Sabbath and a lot of similar personality traits, but it's not Black Sabbath. So you're getting something new and different, but it's sort of similar.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into this going like, oh, I'm getting more Nolan Batman. It's like, no, you're getting something different.
You're getting something similar but different.
Yeah.
And it works because, you know, people have talked about, I think this is actually a confirmed thing from like an audio commentary on one of the movies. Nolan originally wanted the Joker in all three movies. He wanted him to be like a through line with other villains coming in and out. But of course that didn't happen because he couldn't really fit him into Begins aside from that like ending teaser. And then Ledger ended up dying. But this, like I said, this works. And if you need anything else to confirm like how high profile and generally approved of this is, here's a little fact I want to drop on you. For season 2, Nolan invited them to the Warner's lot to read the script for Rises, so they wouldn't do anything that conflicted with that movie.
Oh my god, that is so cool.
Yeah.
That is, oh man. I fucking scratched everything I just said. It's canon now. That's canon to me. Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
They could have been dicks. They could have been dicks and said, like, it's just a weird, dumb fan project. And it's like, no, they are caring about this. They are actually putting effort into filmmaking. I want to encourage this shit. Bring them in so they can know where we're going and they can work on their stuff. Like, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is one of the reasons I've always really wanted to watch season 2, but I've just never gotten around to it. And maybe I will someday now that I've done this podcast, but for now, season 1, it's an excellent piece, and I definitely recommend people listen to it.
Yeah.
So, Chris, shall we go on to the rather massive what we've been up to over the last 2 weeks? Because we had to... You people didn't notice because we backlogged shit, but we had to take a week break because of a little thing called Hurricane Durian.
Durian?
Yeah.
Dorian.
No, it's Hurricane Durian. It just...
Well, sir was smelly shitty.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Chris, what have you been listening to?
Okay, so I listened to Missy Elliott's new single. It was pretty good. A lot of like the production of it was heavily referencing like old school 80s hip hop with a lot of like the 808s. It was pretty good.
I've actually never listened to any Missy Elliott, so I may have to look that up.
I hadn't either. I just saw it pop up in my feed and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give this new Missy Elliott a try. And it was pretty good. I feel like I would appreciate her more if I listened to her like big hit singles rather than this new one she's trying out. But like, I dug it. I'll listen to more Missy Elliott. I listened to the new single from Ninja Sex Party.
Ooh, how was that?
Really good. The music video was really well animated. Like that Game Grumps money is being put to good use. It's called Mansion Party, and it's one of those like Ninja Sex Party has like 3 songs, but they do them in different ways, and it's really well executed depending on how they do it. It's Dan is a cool dude, Dan is a loser, weird fucking experimental bullshit.
Nice.
That's their 3 songs. This is a Dan's a cool dude, and the whole point of it is, hey, girl, let me invite you to my mansion where I am showing you extravagant riches in order to get into your pants. Like, there's, like, he makes 2 pandas fight. There's MC Escher stairs. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous and funny. It's good. I also listened to, because I was doing some shit around the house, so I put some new songs into the playlists I've been using. So I listened to some Mighty Mighty Boss Tones Mastodon, RTJ, Run the Jewels, and Anamanaguchi.
All the good shit.
Yeah. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, Boston ska punk band, classics in the game. They're really, really good. Mastodon. Have you ever heard Mastodon?
I have heard of them. I don't know much else besides the fact that they're a metal band.
They're kind of a proggy metal band. Like, they have an entire album that's just the story of Moby Dick. They're like that kind of metal band. I listened to, they have like four albums that are like story-based concept albums, and then they did like 2 that were just like, we're just gonna make a bunch of songs, no concept, and really just have fun with it. And I listened to one of them. Run the Jewels, Atlanta-based hip-hop artist Killer Mike, New York-based hip-hop producer LP came together, made some albums. They are some of the fucking they are some of the chunkiest fucking beats you will ever listen to. Mm-hmm. It will make you go like, oh fuck yeah, and you will dance like Killer Mike, and he has a very distinct dance. It's great.
Very good.
And then Anamanaguchi, I listened to the album right before they did the Capsule Paradise stuff.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm going to be honest, I'm one of those people who only knows Anamanaguchi for their Scott Pilgrim video game soundtrack.
Okay, so they made an album, first things first. It's kind of a melancholic, chiptune-y, pop-punky, post-punk thingamajig. It's great. You should listen to it.
Okay.
But right after that, they had a bunch of demos that they didn't know what to do with, and they didn't really want to expand on them. So they worked with some people and made a fucking free-to-play, like, exploratory walking simulator game.
Great.
And you can just walk through this whole place and find the tapes and put them in like a floating frog robot that just follows you. And they released those 2 things on CD, and it's like the most gratuitous vaporwavy 80s ass fucking album art ever. It's great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Also, they have a new album coming out soon, and I am hyped for it.
Very plain.
So yeah, that's what I've been listening to.
Excellent. Well, I listen to a whole bunch of stuff, so I'm going to let you pick what we start with. Do you want to do albums, singles, or moods?
Ooh, let's go with moods, because I don't think we've done that with you, man.
Okay, well, to make a long story short, I went and did the thing that is called getting a driver's license last week. So I've started listening to music when I drive, and I very quickly found out that the radio is the gayest shit alive. At least here in Greenville, South Carolina. So yeah. The only radio station I'll listen to is in the morning. I put on NPR just to get a general idea of what's going on in the world.
Just find the college radio station and listen to that.
I might try that. But I've been primarily listening to, because I got into a big kick on them. We talked about that last time. I've been listening to a playlist called Smash Mouth Greatest Hits. And I think it's official that Smash Mouth is just my favorite band now. They have the exact kind of lyrics I like, which is kind of goofy, but also making a biting criticism about the world that is still somehow relevant almost 20 years later. And their sound is just so fun. It's like this mix of rock, jazz, and ska, and all those things should not go together as well as they do in Smash Mouth songs.
They also have a little bit of lounge depending on the song.
Yeah. I mean, their second album is literally called Astro Lounge, and I may or may not have put it on the list. But then that's what I listen to when I'm driving around at the daytime. At nighttime, I've been listening to a lot of Churches. I've been kind of just revisiting their albums, because they have 3 of them now, and I've only really listened to Love Is Dead in the past year, so I wanted to go back and get some more of Every Eye Open and The Bones of What You Believe in My Life. And you were so right, dead on the fucking money when we did the Love Is Dead episode. It is perfect driving at night music.
Oh yeah, fucking synthy wave shit, fucking perfect.
Mm-hmm. Like last night when I got done with my run, I was like, I could just go straight home, but I think I'm going to drive across town to the Smoothie King, the one Smoothie King we have in town. I'm going to get myself a smoothie, and then I'm just going to drive around for an hour and a half while listening to churches. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm just going to fucking tool around looking for trouble, as the kids say. And I did that, and it was great.
Other great music to listen to at night is Vaporwave.
Funny you should mention that. So my moods for work lately, because we talked about how I got into listening to synthwave compilations at work.
And then I spent an hour going like, you should also listen to this Vaporwave album, this Vaporwave album, this Vaporwave album, this Vaporwave album.
So I did a couple Vaporwave compilations at work this week, and I described synthwave as just like the best chill music ever to me. And I think the way I would describe Vaporwave as the kind of sounds you get out of Vaporwave is what I imagine it to feel like being on drugs.
Vaporwave's fucking great. I love it.
It's great, but it's not the best shit to listen to when you're trying to work.
Oh no. It is.
It is fucking weird, but I did dig it. It was good.
Yeah.
Can't say I'll be listening to it a whole lot in the future, but I enjoyed what I listened to. And then I got into City Pop. I did that whole thing. Okay. And City Pop is fucking amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like,
how dare the Japanese keep it from us for all these years?
It's so good, dude, because it's just like, it's that kind of jazzy, kind of rocky sound I love.
And then it's the perfect essence of funk.
Mm-hmm. And it's got like really nice, soft, but also loving sounding lyrics. And it is just sex. It's what I imagine sex to be like. It's amazing, and I love it.
Oh, man.
And I listened to a little bit of smooth jazz, because people always tell me that's great to listen to at work. It's pretty blissful. It's pretty good. Though at times I don't even notice it's there, and that's not optimal. So smooth jazz is not my favorite thing ever, but I'll probably visit it again from time to time.
Yeah, smooth jazz is better through the lens of Vaporwave.
Yeah,
because it has an extra layer to deal with other than just Kenny G. Mm-hmm. No, it's just Kenny G, but fucked up.
Okay, so let's do albums next. I listened to 2 albums in the last 2 weeks, and they're both in the same kind of vein of throwbacky 80s shit, but made in the modern day with modern equipment, and so it sounds way better, and it's really interesting. So I listened to an album I haven't listened to since it came out, which is from 1989 by Ryan Adams, which is a cover of Taylor Swift's album 1989, but it's all made to sound like emo acoustic guitar music sung by a guy from the 80s.
So like The Cure?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's really fucking good. I loved it so much. It's just the perfect album to put on when you're like, it's kind of late, but I don't want to go to bed yet. It's the perfect album to put
on when you want to shake it up. When it's when you want it to be about me.
Yeah, it's the mood I would describe is, it's a little late. I don't want to go to bed yet, but I don't want to bother anyone else. And I'm feeling a bit lonely. So I'm just going to put this on and indulge in being a sad boy for an hour.
You do get the Taylor Swift jokes I just made, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I watched Caught in the Shadows, thank you very much.
Oh, man. His one-hit wonderland's been fucking hitting it out of the park lately.
Mm-hmm. Then I listened to TWRP, Together Through Time, which is kind of like a group album of a bunch of songs, a bunch of different kind of synthwave and modern city pop artists on YouTube came together and made to do like a big throwback 80s album. And it's super fucking great. I enjoyed it a lot. There's
wait. TWPR, Tabora Remix Party?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was going to mention, you probably know a couple of the people that worked on this. Like, the only one that's coming to mind now because we talked about him earlier, your boy Dan Avidan is on it.
Dan Avidan.
Yeah, he sings one of the songs. And
Aaron's also in one of them.
Yeah, that's right.
You got it.
There's some real good stuff in there. I listened to this like a week ago, so I can't exactly remember all of them, but like
it's been 1 week since you looked at me.
I should have seen that coming. Fucking The Perfect Product is hilarious. It's the only song I've heard from an artist who is not Weird Al that genuinely feels like a good Weird Al song. And also Phantom Racer, probably the standout. It's really good. So yeah, definitely go check out that album if you haven't, people. And then singles, let's blow through these. Orville Peck, Big Sky, fucking Mood. I love how like haunting and moody it is. It's great. Also, real quick, I re-listened to Turn to Hate a couple more times. I like it a whole lot more now.
Oh yeah, no. Turn to Hate is like one of those because because the hook has like a weird gurgle to it. Mm-hmm. It takes it a second. You got to get into the hook before it like hooks you.
And I wasn't really paying attention to the lyrics the first time through, and now that I've had a couple more times with it, I'm like, no, this is a really good story/message song. I like this a lot.
Praise our gay cowboy overlord.
Indeed. Robert Tepper, No Easy Way Out. When the fuck did I listen to this? I don't remember this at all.
Skip it.
Fozzy, Nowhere to Run, the new Jericho single, which I think is hilarious because it's called Nowhere to Run, and he put it out right after he won the AEW title. So he's kind of making a joke about, I just put a big bullseye across my waist. But it's
how much you want to bet that that's his new entrance theme?
See, it would be hilarious if he did that, but also I don't want to lose Judas. It's such a good entrance theme.
Oh, man. Oh, I just realized I was reading about Fozzy a couple days ago. You know Fozzy used to be part of Chris Jericho's gimmick?
Really?
Because when he was being the singer for Fozzy, he didn't say, oh, I'm Chris Jericho. He was under a different name, and whenever anybody ever brought up Chris Jericho, he was like, who the fuck is that? I don't know who the fuck are you talking about? But whenever anybody talked to Chris Jericho about rock, he'd go like, oh yeah, no, my favorite band's Fozzy. I love the lead singer. He's great.
What a fucking heel. I love him.
Like, that was a part of the character for a bit. It's great.
But Nowhere to Run itself, just kind of an okay song. It's very much just like a generic rock single of like, we're doing a thing and it's cool. But the timing of it just made me like it a whole lot. So not their best work, but definitely a solid little banger. Back On With You, featuring .me. Very, very Japanesey rock song. Modern Japanese rock.
That's a fucking program executable right there.
Mm-hmm. But it's a good time. I'm slowly getting into Japanese rock, mainly through Back On, and it's good stuff. I like them. Burning My Soul by Hiroyuki Takami featuring AXL21. This is the theme to Kamen Rider Cross Z's Magma Form, I had not listened to any of the build inserts yet. I just kind of throw them all on my Watch Later playlist, and I came across this one. It's pretty all right. Not the best writer insert I've ever heard, but I enjoyed it. Probably the one Weird Al song I'd never heard before, I Lost on Jeopardy. I heard it for the first time this week. And it was pretty good. I love the Price is Right joke at the end. It's obviously not his best work because it's very early Weird Al, but it's like you can see all that potential brimming in the video, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
And then a song by our favorite Spooky Boys, Ghost.
Yeah.
Listen to Life Eternal, and I liked it a lot. That's a good song.
Ghost is good Spooky Boys.
They are. What was not so good, the final thing for my listen to this week, the Back to Life 80s remix by Haley Steinfeld, which is the single she did for the Bumblebee movie, remixed to quote-unquote sound like it's from the 80s, which they put out in conjunction with the Bumblebee movie DVD/Blu-ray release. And it's garbage. I like Back to Life. I think it's a pretty good pop single, but this remix sounds like somebody screwed around in GarageBand for 20 minutes and called it a song.
Yeah.
It's not too good.
Shame. You can do a lot of great 80s remixes of things though.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta try.
But that's everything I listened to. So Chris, what'd you watch?
Well, I finally got to the Stone Cold Steve Austin Hot Ones episode, and it was fucking great.
Yeah.
It's a really good interview, really solid. And Sean Evans knew to play into Stone Cold's strengths of letting him ramble on and tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just really good, really solid.
Yeah, you got the sense that he actually does listen to the Stone Cold podcast.
Yeah, it kind of makes me feel good that Stone Cold's not necessarily that he's back doing things, but he's doing things that he's comfortable and likes doing.
He's kind of, you know what he's doing? He's pulling Macaulay Culkin. He's making the rounds online, but he's not going to everybody. He's going to the stuff that actually piques his interest.
Yeah. I watched a good couple of episodes of Good Eats Reloaded. Basically, he's taking an older episode and going like, "Hi, I was a dumb fuck, and here's the new recipe that's better."
Yeah. I watched the first one, but I haven't gotten to any of the others yet. It's pretty good times.
I watched the episodes on fondue, grits, and cookies. It was really good, especially because he basically in those 3 episodes specifically, it was like he pops in and goes like, "All right, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Here's how I fucked up. Here's why I didn't realize I was fucking up." Like he was like in the cookies episode, he was going off on Santa because Santa was in the episode. Why you keep giving me metal cookie cutters when I much prefer plastic? He pops in and goes like, "Okay, so here's the thing. Those got dull after a year, and I've gone back to metal cookie cutters." It's just like, you know what? It's nice that you're actually taking the time to correct yourself and poke fun at it. It's great. I watched 3 episodes of How to Care for a Mummy, that slice of life relaxing show where a dude just has a pet mummy. His friend came over. His friend likes to bully the mummy, but in like a cute way. And he gets annoyed by a little tiny baby Oni that shows up at his house and eats his food.
Neat.
Yeah, it's cute. Episode 5 of Slam Dunk. Main character dude has been practicing in the corner, and he is getting fed up and goes like, "Why can't I practice with everyone else?" And basically everybody's going like, "Because you don't know how to fucking play basketball yet. Practice some more." But he's ingratiating himself in the team, more or less.
Interesting.
Yeah. Episode 12 of JoJo Part 5. I'm trying to remember what happens in that episode. Oh no, I remember. It's Man in the Mirror, because 3 of the characters go to Pompeii because they have to do a meetup there, and they run into a mirror, and a dude has a power to suck a person into the mirror.
That sounds very JoJo.
Yep, but the character who got sucked in, he has a power that whenever he punches a thing, he releases a goddamn virus that immediately rots everything that it infects. So pretty overpowered. It's called Purple Haze. Really good episode. I really loved this arc when I read the manga, so I'm hyped to see more of it. Power Rangers Beast Morphers, episode 4. This is another.
Did you hear that's coming back this week and also ended in every country except America and Canada?
What?
So, you know about the international airings thing with Power Rangers, right?
No.
So, since the Neo Saban era, when Disney started doing you can only have 20 episodes a season, and also you have to take a break around the 10th episode. Yeah, Nickelodeon, I'm sorry. They started imposing that on Saban, and Saban was like, fine, but Power Rangers doesn't air on Nickelodeon in any country except Canada and America. So the entire rest of the world just gets all of the season week after week until it's done, and then they have to wait like a fucking year for the second season to start airing.
That's incredibly dumb and counterproductive.
So last Saturday, the last episode of Beast Morphers aired everywhere in the world, but America's just now getting like Beast Morphers episode 12 this Saturday.
Yeah, Nickelodeon's dumb.
Yeah.
Good episode. They played into the Avatars thing, and one of the characters basically was made to feel like a fool because he had empathy. But they were like, no, you were right. It's just shitty situation. It's okay, bud. But yeah, here's 4 episodes into this season of Power Rangers. It is one of the best seasons of Power Rangers in a long time.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about it. People are saying like it feels like it's just proving everybody's theory of Haim Saban was just holding Judlin back for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Ace of Diamond, my favorite baseball anime, 5 and 6. Basically, the first year students are going up against the non-starter second and third years. So they're trying to second and third years are trying to make an impression so they can become a starter for the team. The first years are basically getting beat to shit, and they're going like, "Fuck, man, what the fuck, man." I got sent a thing. But basically, the main character.
You got sent 2 things.
Main character boy basically goes, why y'all being bitches? He gets on first base and they're all going like, holy shit, he actually got on base and didn't get struck out. Maybe we can actually do this thing. And they start to rally and they get a couple points and it's like, fuck yeah. And the coach starts recognizing the main character because for all this time the main character's a pitcher and he hasn't been allowed to pitch because he pissed off the coach. So now the coach goes like, all right, we need a new pitcher to relieve for your team. You get to pitch. But main character boy only throws fastballs because he likes to go head to head. But here's the thing. He has weird wrists, so the balls go in funky directions. So it freaks everybody out real quick and goes like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
That's good. It's good baseball shit.
Excellent.
So I started a new tokusatsu.
Oh, did you?
I want you to take a guess what it is.
Voice logger.
No. What the fuck is that? I need to write that down because that sounds weird and cool.
It's an obscure 80s thing. I don't even know if it's subbed.
No, what I watched was Madan Senki Ryokendo.
That sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
It's a tokusatsu funded and created by Takara Tomy.
Oh.
In like the late aughts, so like 2008, 2009. But here's the thing, it has better production values than a Kamen Rider season from the same time.
Interesting.
And it looks really cool. And it's like, it's generic. It's pretty standard tokusatsu. Monsters show up, weird power attaches to a dude, and the dude goes like, what the fuck? And he fights the monster. It's nothing new, it's nothing spectacular, but the characters seem endearing. They seem fun. Like, the guy's walking around this town that's been attacked by demons over and over again, and he runs into this cute girl, and he just gets completely love-struck, and it's like, hi. What's your name? Hello. Nice. And it's just adorable. So I'm looking forward to that. Episode 3 of Yu Yu Hakusho. It's still in the early part where it didn't get interesting. He helps his friend get better test grades because of a dumb teacher doing a dumb thing. I watched episode 2 of Kamen Rider Build.
Hey, you're moving right along.
Yeah. Weird, sad ending, but I dig the fact that the dude has like the resolve to do shit now.
Yeah.
I watched episode 5 of El Hazard. Things are really ramping up, especially because it's like a 7 or 8 episode OVA.
Oh boy.
So we're getting to the end. So like, we revealed that the main character has been lying. The main character has been hiding his identity the whole time, and he's not who he says he is. Oh, wait a second. The villain also gets revealed for what he truly is. Oh, shit. Everything is being destroyed. This is fucked. So we're getting to there. And I watched a movie.
Ooh.
A movie that, after I finished watching it, I went, why doesn't this already have a huge cult following? I watched John Carter.
Interesting.
And I fucking loved it.
Have you read the book?
I will get to that.
I read the book when the movie was like about to come out and loved it. And always meant to go see the movie and never got around to it. So hearing the movie is good has just ignited a fire in me.
Like, here's the thing. I wouldn't say it's like high class cinema or anything like that, but it feels very much like, the best way to put it is, it's like someone of the time when those books were released had the budget, the resources, and the ability to make a movie like they are made today, went and made a John Carter movie. It feels very much a movie not made for us, but made for those fans.
Interesting.
Which is fascinating to me because John Carter wasn't a thing for years. No one gave a shit about him, but they put this much love and effort into the world and just making everything look good and just like it was nice.
Yeah. Like, I don't know much about John Carter aside from that first book, but like one of the things I do know about him outside of that is his wife is more popular than him. There's like a long-running series of Deja Forest comics.
Yeah. But the movie adapts the first book, and like they were playing weird and coy with the name of the movie because the name of the movie is John Carter. And typically the series of books are called the John Carter of Mars series. Or the Bassoon Saga. Bassoon. That's the name of that's the name the locals call Mars. So the whole movie is just John Carter, and then you've read the book, so you kind of know he gets transported back to Earth for a little bit, and he finds a way back to Mars. And when he gets back to Mars, you see the planet from a distance, and it just says John Carter, and then below it, it fades in of Mars, and it's like, oh shit, they were playing the full origin story thing, and it's great, and it turned in like you get the John Carter of Mars logo, and it's really fun.
Nice.
It's really good. I am pissed that it didn't get more recognition, that it wasn't a thing. But
Seems
of course
like, because I've only ever heard like middling thoughts on this thing. Like people have always said like, oh, it was okay, or I never saw that. And it's the way you're describing it to me is now giving me a perspective on this that this is this came out like what 5, 8 years
2012.
ago? Okay,
It came out 2012. So about around about then.
So this is to 5 years ago what Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is to current movie making. It's a really passionate film that's paying homage to a classic bit of obscure sci-fi, but nobody saw it.
Yeah. I just really dug it. I thought it was fun. Like, I started watching it and I was kind of like, it's John Carter. It's probably not going to be that great. And then it got to Mars and I was like, oh shit, this is some cool shit. This is dope. And then it just keeps getting better and better. And it's like, fuck yeah. And by the end, the final battle and everything was going on. And I was like fucking cheering John Carter. I like genuinely, when the good things happen, I was like, fuck yeah, John Carter. It's like, holy shit, you get invested in it. It's great. That's my new flag I'm putting in the ground. Fishbone, shark, street shark, John Carter. But that's what I watched.
Nice. Wow, we're only an hour in. We're making great time. You want to do Toku or Wrestles?
You watch Wrestle that's not part of NNWP?
Yeah, because unless it's an actual wrestling show, I'm not counting it as MMWP material anymore. It has to be an actual wrestling event or a documentary about a wrestler.
Okay.
So I guess we'll start with that. Straight Up Steve Austin with 2 episodes for this podcast because it's been 2 weeks. Last week he had Becky Lynch on. That was an okay episode. They did some fun stuff. It was neat seeing Becky Lynch getting crowned the world champion of axe throwing.
I saw the clip where she stunned him. That was cool.
Yeah, that was how it ended. It was basically they're driving around in the LA mountains for a little bit, and then he's like, "Let's do some axe throwing," and then she beats his ass in it, and then they cut, and they're in what I presume is a wrestling school, and they get in the ring and kind of do a few practice moves and talk about just how each of them came up and what stage Becky's in her career right now. And she brings out the Raw Women's Championship, and he's like, so what does this mean to you? And she talks about like, this is success, this is everything we work for, this is everything we believe in. And making sure this title gets seen and it's made clear that this is important is everything I'm trying to work towards right now. And then he pats her on the back and says, okay, go get him, kid. And she stunners him. Yeah. That's basically the whole episode. And then this week he had Gabriel Iglesias, aka Fluffy, on. And that was super fun. I really enjoyed that episode because it's the first episode of the show so far where it was really clear that this is someone Stone Cold is actually friends with. This is somebody who he really likes and is excited to hang out with.
Yeah, Gabriel's been on his podcast once or twice, I think.
Yeah, and apparently they do text back and forth. Like, there's a part where they're talking about, like, a few months ago, as of them recording the episode, I don't know how long ago it was now, Gabriel drunk texted him a bunch of ideas for how Stone Cold could make an in-ring comeback. And Stone Cold also happened to be drunk. So he was like, that's really good. I'm going to send these to Vince. And apparently Vince just completely ignored him, which is hilarious.
That's the best.
They drove around some cool classic cars they both had. They talked about what it was like for Gabriel to come up in the comedy world and how that's pretty much just as tough as it is trying to break it into the professional wrestling world. And then they went and shot crossbows together, and that was neat. So yeah, really enjoyed that episode, if only for the fact that I got to see Steve Austin wearing a Hawaiian shirt with cut-off sleeves.
Yeah.
It's probably the most wholesome image of all time.
Steve Austin is now just a grouchy grandpa that everybody loves.
Mm-hmm. And then I watched Table for Free with Carmella, Mandy Rose, and Tori Wilson, which was basically them just talking about Attitudes Era women's division versus modern women's division and how things have changed, and how even though there was some kind of sketchy stuff going on back then, it was always copacetic backstage, and it's even better now. And they spent like 5 minutes just gushing about how much they love working with Fit Finlay because he's been in charge of the women's division since the Attitude Era. So that was fun.
That's nice.
And then for Tokusatsu, I watched the first 5 episodes of Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger.
That's what Turbo is, right?
Yes, and it was a really interesting watch because Turbo, it's played very straight-laced except for 1 or 2 episodes, but Car Ranger is a straight-up self-parody. Car Ranger came at a time when the last season was an anniversary series, and they chose to do like a very serious back to classic formula. It's a military operation Sentai, and it came at the worst time possible because Japan experienced a series of terror attacks that year.
Oof.
And so Sentai tanked hardcore in the ratings, and they went, we need to do something in the exact opposite direction this year, or we're going to get fucking canceled. So they said, well, extremely serious anniversary series that takes us back to our roots. What's the exact opposite of that we can do? Self-parody. So it's...
Let's be goofy as fuck.
It's all those 90s Sentai tropes, or... No, this is... I can't remember. This is either late 80s or early 90s. But this is like all the Sentai tropes of the time played up to the nines and all done for comedy. And
it would have been 90s. It would have been 90s because the Sentai that Mighty Morphin was based off of was only about like 2 to 3 years old at that time. And Mighty Morphin came out in 1993.
Okay. But yeah, it was It's an interesting watch. I didn't particularly get into it just because it's not my brand of humor. I would laugh, like I get the feeling it's supposed to be a laugh-a-minute show, but I was only laughing like once or twice per episode. So I can't exactly say I'm super eager to get back to it, but it was interesting to see, and I do want to at least watch it up until the episode where VRV Master shows up, because got to represent my boy Jacob Brody. And then I watched Kamen Rider X Super Sentai Cho Superhero Taisen, the big Taisen movie from the year when X8 and Q Ranger was going on.
Neat.
It is a fucking clusterfuck.
Of fucking course it is.
Like, they try and keep it somewhat sane by being like, somebody's doing shit with the video game world and it's attacking the real world. All these classic video game characters who all happen to be property of Namco Bandai are attacking the real world.
Oh no, it's the dude from Tekken.
Uh-huh. It's fucking Xavius and fucking, we already used Pac-Man, so here's Xavius again. You remember Xavius, right?
Here's Mr. Dig Dug.
Yeah, it's that kind of shit. But then also in universe, there's a video game called Cho Superhero Taisen that features all the Kamen Riders and Super Sentai characters. It's like a fighting game. And so Poppy takes several of the characters, like Amu from the Duogers, most of the core X8 cast, and all the Q Rangers are there. And so she takes a couple of them into the world of Cho Superhero Tyson to get backup to fight Xavius and all the other invading game characters with. And they spend so much time just meandering around and having fights and going like, oh, there's a kid over there. I wonder if he has anything to do with the plot. And then eventually they find out that like this kid died of the game disease and was a game programmer and was really focused on trying to make the next great game. And that's where Cho Superhero Tyson came from. And now the evil version of Kamen Rider Brave that exists in Cho Superhero Tyson is using his game disease powers to bring all the Namco characters to the real world and attack the real world for some reason. I mean, we're going to team up with all the other characters in Superhero Tyson who are all still good for some reason, and we're going to go fight the video game characters.
I mean, at least Toei used their Bandai connections to the fullest possible extent when they made a video game character.
That's fair. And I mean, like, some of the cameos were fun, because, like, you get Kamen Rider Zolda from Ryuki, you get Momotaros from Den-O, and all the other Imagines show up for a scene. There's, like, a scene where X8 is picking his team of riders and Sentai characters he's going to bring back to the real world. And the first one he lands on is Momotaros, because it's like a slot machine selection. It's not like he actually gets to pick who he wants.
It's a gotcha.
Yeah. So he gets Momotaros first, and Momotaros is like, hey, man, what's going on? We're going to have a fun time. And then he hits the button for selecting a blue-colored character, because it's like he's building Common Sentai Go Rider. Remember that thing?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing that. And the blue Imagine shows up, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to join too. We're going to do an Imagine Sentai. And Momotaros is like, fuck that, you get out of here. And they proceed to go through all the other Imagines doing that. And it's a tad tedious, but I imagine it was pretty entertaining for Den-O fans.
Yeah.
And the blue Ninja is there, which made me very upset for a moment, because I don't like Ninja whatsoever. It's a horrible Sentai. I don't care what anyone says.
Hey, I like the theme.
Yeah, that's okay. And then I believe the pink Tokyuger was on their team, but she only showed up in suit. You never saw her face, which was a bit weird. And then he has to all the Go Riders have to fight like a bunch of other faceless suits with stock voices, and then eventually they go to the real world and defeat Xavius. And that's kind of the whole plot. Also, there's a thing where they keep attacking Poppy or like all the Sentais are attacking Poppy in the opening because they think like she's the one who let the video game characters out. And I was so annoyed by it because I was like, why are all the X8 riders just protecting her? Doesn't she have a fucking belt? And then I went to the wiki and it was like, oh, this takes place like 20 episodes before she gets her belt. Okay. I was hardcore feminazing out and being like, she don't need no men. And then it was like, no, she does at this point in the story, sir.
Sir, we get your sentiment, but we fix that later. We understand. Yeah, no, this is all good.
Yeah, it was the first time I probably ever exhibited. He not quite right, but he got the spirit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything I watched this week. So what did you read, my good sir?
I read issues 1 and 2 of The Max.
Ooh.
Old school classic Image comic. I just went like, you know what? I want to fucking read an old comic. So I picked The Max.
And then somebody shit on Neil Gaiman. Death isn't some hot chick. That's that line.
Yeah, well, but it's really good so far. Solid design, solid everything. It's fucking weird that the main villain's just like, hey, I'm just really fucking love raping. That's my character. I like to rape.
Well, I mean, we all gotta have a hobby.
But it's really cool. I'm digging it. I'm liking the max. I read some of the latest issue of Private Suite magazine.
Do
you know what that is?
I do not.
It's a digital, free-to-read vaporwave magazine.
Aw.
That is the voice of disappointment of like, of course this fucking idiot reads that shit.
Well, I wasn't gonna say it.
But it's just the fucking aesthetic of it, man. Hold on. Boop 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 bop bop. Beep beep bop beep. I'm just making noise because I have trouble living in life.
You gotta make words come out of your mouth. You gotta be consistent.
Yep. But that's the magazine. But just look at the fucking cover.
That's a design.
It's really cool. It's just fun. It's just fun to look through and all that kind of stuff. Magazines are dope. And so you get back to it.
It does actually emulate page folding when you click through. That's cool.
Yeah. It does a bunch of dope shit because you know what? Vaporwave deserves it. Like, and hell, they even have like a fiction section now, and I'm thinking of like writing a dumb short story, and send it in, see if they like it. I mean, it's a completely volunteer done magazine. Like, there's even a section on like fucking church wave as a genre of vaporwave, basically. Vaporwave, but it also takes the iconography of like Jesus. So that's a thing. And it has ads for like the like upcoming vaporwave releases, which is really cool. It's just a really cool passion project, and I just dig that, you know.
Nice.
But like I said earlier, I'll get to it. I started reading Princess of Mars.
Hey!
I've gotten through a little bit of the beginning of it. And I immediately was reminded, oh, wait a second, this is a book from the early 1900s.
Yep.
From a dude from the South.
Indeed.
And one of the first things he says to make you realize, oh, our main character is a swell guy. The phrase, even the slaves liked him. Oh.
Well, you know, he was nice to them. He let them sleep on the couch.
fucking shit, man. Fuck you. Fuck.
I'm not even sorry. I saw my opportunity and I did it. I watched 12 Years a Slave, okay? I paid my dues as a white person.
Better hope Twitter doesn't ever hear you say that. Because you will be canceled more times than Community.
I like that phrase. That's good.
Oh. But yeah, I've been Princess of Mars. I'm having fun with it so far, other than the minor stuff. And that's what I've been reading.
Nice. Well, I also read some books from the early 1900s. I've started reading the Once and Future King series. Because
Neat.
I've always been interested in Arthurian lore, but I've never really gotten into it. So I've read the first two books now, The Sword in the Stone and The Witch in the Wood. Sword in the Stone, I was surprised at how similar it actually was to the Disney movie. Like, there's a few bits that were completely cut out, but for the most part, it's kind of the same plot, and it's pretty interesting. And I like how Arthur actually pulling the sword out of the stone is just like this random thing that happens right at the end. And then everybody's like, "You're king now." And it's like, "What?" Merlin goes, "Yeah, this was my plan all along. Okay, book's over now." I thought that was hilarious. The Witch in the Wood, pretty okay. I wasn't quite as into the B plot with all the kids who were just trying to impress their mother, who is a cousin of Morgan Le Fay, until kind of the end where it starts interacting with the A plot a little bit. But it was good. I'm definitely liking these so far. They're a lot easier to read than most books from the early 1900s I've read. So yeah. But that is very high praise coming from somebody who has very actively said, "I don't like fantasy novels that much." So that's what I've been reading. Yeah. Chris, you've been playing some stuff?
Well, no other time really to put this, but I started fucking working out a little bit, doing some cardio.
We're gonna be fit boys.
Started walking to some today. I gearing up. Don't want to start running because I know fucking I'd be gassed and I wouldn't want to do it the next day. So start off simple, start off little, encourage myself, make myself understand, yeah, I'm getting into it. That kind of jazz. What else have I been playing? Have you heard about a little game called Gundam?
I have.
It's fucking great. Like, you build robots, you fight with robots. Bunch of dope shit, bunch of dope robots. Gundam. Gundam.
Indeed.
Gundamu. Yeah, that's it.
Oh boy. So I played a bit of the Pokemon Masters app. I kept that going. I got through the first 2 missions, and then I decided I didn't really like it all that much because the combat is real-time strategy instead of turn-based strategy like every other fucking Pokemon game.
I played it. It's more of like it's less action and more like Chrono Trigger.
I guess, but it's also just really not for me. I was not into it because the thing I like about Pokemon is the action in it is the actual like fights in it are passive. You can take your time. I can be doing other things while I'm playing a Pokemon game, even though more often than not I'm not. So to suddenly have that pressure of like, okay, select your move, select who it goes to, it's like, man, no, thank you. So, I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's just not for me. So version, and that's been good fun. I've now beaten Flannery, whatever her fucking name is, the fire type gym leader. So now on my 4th badge, and it's pretty good. But then we talked a bit earlier about how I got my driver's license this week, and while I was at the DMV because we tend to go to the DMV that's one city over from us because the DMV here is always taking like 2 hours to get anything done. But the DMV in Greer, which is the city next to us, it's very quick. They get you in and out. So when I went and got my license, on the way back home, I noticed a local toy shop that happened to be there. And we have a local toy shop here in Greenville, but it's only like old-timey kind of like
10 toys?
Yeah, it's kind of like lowest common denominator. You go in there and it's like paddle boards and whoopee cushions and that kind of shit. It's a whole store of that kind of shit. But I was like, okay, let's go check out this place because I've been hoping to find a local toy store for quite a while. And I mean, like, comic shops are kind of that, but they also don't directly cater to that. So they're not the best in the world. But I went into this place, and it's pretty much exactly what I've been looking for. It is basically a mini convention dealer room hall. Like, just any franchise from pretty much the 70s to current is represented in there. There was Star Wars stuff, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, G.I. Joe, wrestling, Power Rangers, Marvel, DC, fucking Gundam. They had a whole display cabinet of built Gundam kits. There were some Hot Toys, some like old Barbie dolls, all kinds of really interesting stuff, and all of it was priced pretty fairly. So I ended up picking up a few things, and then a few days later, after I got my paycheck and I had a day off work, I went and spent an entire afternoon there just looking around because I only had like 20 minutes before I needed to get going because I was meeting somebody for dinner that first time in there. So it was just kind of like, okay, browse around, grab a couple things, say hi to the owners, and get out. But I went back on my first day off of this week and spent like an hour and a half in there just looking around and chatting back and forth with the guy who was working that day. And it's just an incredible place. I really enjoyed getting to know those guys, and I'm definitely going to try and go back once or twice a month from now on, and hopefully not spend too much. I'm gonna try and limit myself, but
Make a budget.
Everything's really fairly priced, and there's stuff from all kinds of eras. So it's made me go from, yeah, I don't know about current stuff, but I kind of like to eventually get back into collecting the stuff from when I was a kid and from a little bit before that, because all that is still really interesting and fun to me. I have a place I'm going to start going every couple of weeks, and I'm going to slowly collect all the stuff I had when I was a kid and all the stuff from just before that, because that's what's interesting and fun to me. So we're going to go down the list of the stuff I have gotten and actually messed with since I was there, because the second time I went, I grabbed a bunch of boxed stuff that I haven't opened yet, so we'll be talking about that next week. But so far, my haul from this place is a Transformers Armada Supercon Cyclonus, which is one of the Armada figures I had as a kid, and pretty much just slowly broke apart. So it was nice to get him back. I don't have his Minicon, but I went on eBay right after I got home and bought one for $10, so that should be coming in the mail soon-ish. But he's still a pretty fun toy. He's one of the few helicopter Transformers that actually does something with the blades besides just having them be there. They have like a whole pull it and they spin around gimmick, which is really fun. And I like how his arms are basically built to be missile launchers, and the way he kind of crumples up into his vehicle mode to form like an Apache attack helicopter is really cool and pretty unique for a Transformers helicopter. Then I got Hunt for the Decepticons Scout Class Breacher, who is one of those like movie scouts that everybody always told me was really cool, but I never got them because as a kid I was so focused on the characters that were actually in the movie. And he's hella fun. He's got a neat little transformation. He's very characterful, and even when he's missing, because I didn't realize this till I got home, but he did not have his weapon. And when I went back a couple days later, I was like, did you guys have Breacher's weapon lying around somewhere and just forgot to give it to me? And they were like, no, that's how it came. We have a bunch of stuff like that, and we get lots in all the time. So we kind of try to Frankenstein figures together as we go. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Because he still has a turret in vehicle mode, but it's missing the guns. His robot mode gun kind of forms the guns of the vehicle mode turret. It's an interesting kind of thing. But then in robot mode, he's also got 3mm clips all over his body. So you can still stick plenty of weapons onto him, but what I like to do is leave him without any weapons, because one of the spots for his 3mm clips is right on his fists, which makes it look like he's got a pair of knuckle dusters on.
Nice.
So on my shelves, I have him posed right now in like a classic boxing put 'em up pose, and it's great. because there's not many Transformers who you think of as martial artists, but I like to imagine this is the guy who comes into a fight and Megatron or one of the other Decepticons is like, what are you going to do? You're just some tiny little shit with no weapon. And he just lays them the fuck out. Yeah, so I like Breacher quite a bit. And then I got the Thundersaurus Morpher, which is the Dino Thunder Morpher. One of the Morphers I've wanted for quite a while, but have never bought because eBay prices for old Power Rangers toys are insane. But I found it for $20 there, and the electronics still worked, and it was pretty cool. It's a pretty banged up one, but the way it's banged up, it looks like battle damage, so I didn't mind it. And also, I never knew much about the actual toy of the Morpher before, but this is from back when they were still just like directly importing the Japanese versions. So all the sounds sound like they're straight out of Abba Ranger, which I really dug, considering how different Dino Thunder is from Abba Ranger. And then, get this on my first trip or my second? Yeah, I got this on my first trip. Continuing on with a couple weeks ago when we started, or like actually quite a while back now, when we started doing the what we've been up to this week, I talked about how I found a big independent bookstore in town, and they had a bunch of old Star Wars Revenge of the Sith figures for super cheap that were boxed that they just got on overstock from a Kmart. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to start collecting Revenge of the Sith figures, because that was the Star Wars toy line that was around when I was a kid. And I never got around to it, but then I went into this place, I keep saying it's local toy store. The place is called Toy Federation. If you live in the South Carolina area, go check out Toy Federation. It's a really cool store. But they had a lot of Revenge of the Sith figures, a lot of boxed prequel figures in general, all priced between $10 and $30. So I went and picked up the General Grievous from that line. Well, one of the General Grievous. There's like two of every main character from that movie in that line. So I got the version of the General Grievous with the 4 arms and the 4 lightsabers. And he's pretty cool. He's actually, if I remember correctly, he was the General Grievous I had as a kid. And he's part of the reason why Grievous is one of my favorite Star Wars villains. It's such a fun little figure with a great design that kind of simplifies the CGI mess that Grievous was into an actually neat kind of robot dude. And I had forgotten about this, but the reason he's called the 4 lightsaber attack General Grievous is because he has a gimmick where when you push his head down, his arms move in a way that is supposed to look like he's slashing the lightsabers he's holding, but they only move a little and they kind of just jostle back and forth. So instead of looking like he's attacking other figures, he looks like he's doing the Michigan J Frog dance. And I love it. So, yeah, that was a great find. And then on my second trip, the loose things I got that I'm capable of talking about is Swoops, the eagle from the Rescue Heroes toy line. And I believe this is the first time I brought this up in any kind of media, but Rescue Heroes was a huge part of my childhood, and I sold all those figures when I was still a kid to fund me getting into Transformers. And for like the past year and a half, I've been going, I'd like to go back and collect Rescue Heroes. That was a really cool toy line, and it's a big part of my childhood, and it would be cool to kind of get back into that. And I've talked about it in my Discord server and to you privately a couple times, but never really mentioned it online before. So finding this toy and like finally getting that kickstarted was really cool, because I was literally walking up to the register when I found it. Like, I had all the stuff I was getting on my second haul, and I was going up to him like, okay, I'm ready to check out. And then I just noticed, because Swoops is an eagle, and his gimmick is that when you push a button on his back, his talons open, and then when you release it, they clench back down, so you can kind of clip him onto stuff. And he was just clipped onto the wall, and I noticed him out of the corner of my eye, and I kind of grabbed him, and I was like, I recognize this. What is this? And then I saw the Rescue Heroes logo on him, and I was like, oh, hey man, you got any more Rescue Heroes stuff? And he was like, yeah, go look in the front. And there was none there, and he came up, and he was like, oh, we had a ton of them. I guess they must have sold them yesterday when I wasn't working, but don't worry, because that stuff comes in and out constantly. We are constantly getting that stuff in and selling it. And I explained to him, well, you know why that is, right? That's because everybody who was into that as a kid, because that was early to mid 2000s, is just now becoming old enough to be out on their own and have disposable income, or theoretically they are, because they're millennial. So a lot of people are either finding their rescue heroes from childhood and selling them for a quick bit of cash, or remembering that they had rescue heroes as a child and becoming an adult toy collector and going and buying them all back. So that's why you're going through those constantly. And he said, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well I guess since you're somebody who wants to get back into them, I'll keep an eye out on them for you. And I was like, it's one of those moments where you go like, yeah, local stores are so much better than big chains.
Nice.
So yeah, Swoops is pretty neat. He's just a big eagle with a Rescue Heroes vest on that can open and close his talons. I clipped him onto my flat screen. It's nice to just have that started, because that's probably the first rescue hero I've had in my life in quite a while. Let me see if I can find a picture of him on my flat screen. I'll scroll down here real quick.
Neat.
Yeah, he is a bird.
Bird.
And then I got a couple of those robots who are in disguise and are more than meets the eye. I got Transformers Energon Command Class Landmine. One of the Energon figures I really wanted as a kid and never got. Holy crap, he is awesome. He is an absolute spectacle of a thing, because his alt mode is like this big badass Mad Max fucking wrecker mobile with like a whole back section that's like a winch and a missile launcher, and he's got this huge snowplow on the front, and he's fucking hot orange. I don't know why they chose that color, but it works so well. And then in robot mode, all that stuff on his back becomes like a cool base. And he's got like a pretty decent, pretty nice little tough looking robot mode. But then all that stuff also combines with him in robot mode to give him a brute pack where he's got these big badass bear claws and like 4 shoulder cannons. It's, oh my god, I'm absolutely in love with this toy. I think this is probably my new favorite Energon toy, because as a kid it was like Inferno and also at times Omega Supreme, because those were just the two I played with the most as a kid, but I never had this guy as a kid, and now that I've got him, I'm just utterly blown away. Like, this completely confirms my whole thing of, like, I don't give a fuck about current generation's toys or studio series. I'm going to go back and collect as much of the Unicron trilogy as I can get my hands on. And those guys should be able to help me out with that quite a bit, because they have a lot of loose Unicron trilogy figures there that they're slowly Frankensteining together. Like, I almost bought an Energon Megatron from them on this trip as well, but it didn't have the tank he comes with or the sword that he plugs into the tank, so I decided I'd wait a bit. But yeah, it was really cool to get this guy complete, and it was really clear that he hadn't seen any love in a long time. Like, either he'd been sitting in their cabinet for a really long time, or somebody just left him on a shelf in alt mode for a long time, because he was covered in dust when they pulled him out of that cabinet. And only $20, sprucing him up a bit. He's just a super fun toy. And like, when was the last time you saw a Transformer that had a working winch?
I don't know, maybe the last time one went into a fantasy bar?
Yeah. Only Only very slight problem I could say there is with him, or at least mine, is I cannot replace his batteries. I opened up his battery compartment, and he's got a bunch of those watch batteries. I tried to pry them out of there using like a bunch of different tools, and they just will not come loose. I even got out a magnet and tried to like pull them out with that, and they're just not budging. So no electronics, but with how much he can do, I don't even really feel like he needs them, which is not something I ever thought I'd say about a Transformer. Uh, Absolutely fantastic figure, though. Definitely going to end up on my like top 10 finds of the year. Uh, and to round it all out, because I do also quite like the early movie lines. Basically, movie one, Revenge of the Fallen, and Hunt for the Decepticons is kind of like where Transformers peaked as toys, in my opinion. And it's all kind of been downhill since then, though there has still been good stuff. So I got a Bumblebee toy that I had wanted since I saw the first movie as a kid and went, Bumblebee is cool. I got the 2007 Deluxe 74 Camaro Bumblebee, which until Studio Series was the only toy they ever made of that version. And I've seen the Studio Series. I think this one is better just because it perfectly personifies like what they were going for with B at that phase. Is like, yeah, he's kind of kiddish and awkward like he was in G1, but also he's a little cooler now. He's got a different, slightly more badass alt mode. And then by the third act of that film, they had him take on a modern Camaro form, and he just became this like insane asshole cool guy that I don't like movie. I don't like Bumblebee throughout most of the Bay films.
I don't like many people from the Bay films.
That's fair. I'm one of those people where, because I grew up with the Bay films, I have like a weird sense of like being okay with those versions of the characters, and also Vangelis just made me hardcore buy into Murder Prime. I kind of love that characterization now. But yeah, it's a neat little toy. The alt mode is a bit hard to get to stay together just because the bit that forms the chest and is also like the whole front section of the car has a spring-loaded automorph thing, and it's kind of hard to get that to behave. Might just be my copy, but overall, it's a pretty okay little deluxe, and I might have gotten a certain police fellow to go with him who's still in his packaging, and we will talk about at a later date. But that's everything I played with, and I think that's everything we did this week. So, do you want to find out what we're going to talk about next week?
Sure.
All right, well, as the random suggester picks, it will be Captain Disillusion.
Ooh!
This is one of your picks, and I've never heard of this shit before. Explain.
How to best explain it? He is a VFX artist who basically debunks viral videos that use VFX to make it, but he does it, the best way to put it, as a superhero Bill Nye Linkara cross.
Interesting.
Like, he's not as weird as Linkara, but it has that similar, like, I'm a spaceman in a spaceship, but he actually knows how to do visual effects, so it looks good. Yeah.
So, is there like a specific playlist we're gonna watch, or?
I'll figure it out because he has a lot of videos, so maybe I'll make like a curated playlist for us.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and do that and get it to me when you can.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Analytical Fanboys, and we're coming in at just under 2 hours. So, Chris, why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
I am Chris Boingo Writer Gaston. I make YouTube editor. I make video editorials on YouTube. You can find me at Boingo Writer on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at Boingo_Writer and on Instagram at Boingo_Writer.
Very nice. I am Simeon the Vacuuminator Scott. I am a YouTube boy who talks about stuff he likes, primarily things he owns out of his collection, because I recently came back to the YouTube after a period of sort of taking a break and doing a bunch of reruns and real life goofy shit and whatnot. But I'm back now on a semi-regular basis, like I said in that first new review, which is a review of Transformers Energon Ironhide. You can go check that out on my channel. It's I'm basically back, but I'm not promising anything on a regular basis. It's like I know what I want to do and the order I want to do things in, but I'm not pressuring myself to get a video out every week or even every month. It's just when I have the time, energy, and interest, videos will happen. And it's going to primarily be me talking about things that I physically have in my collection. That's kind of the gimmick, is I'm not doing stuff that you can only watch online or new things that haven't been released physically yet, like movies that are still in the theater. I want to kind of talk about stuff that's been out for a while and I've had time to ruminate on and I actually like and have gone out of my way to get a physical copy of, like action figures and movies or shows that are on DVD, comic trades that I own, weird coffee table books and stuff. Actually, to give a little peek behind the scenes, because I'm doing a thing where after this first review, I'm letting my patrons, or just the people in my patron Discord, which happens to be all my friends who are admins in there, they get to vote on what I will be reviewing next out of free randomly selected items from my collection. And the current poll is Transformers Generations Leader Class Jetfire, the Super Sentai 40th Anniversary Photo Book, and the basic roleplay Darth Vader lightsaber that came out in conjunction with Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. So you can go become a $5 patron of mine at patreon.com/thevacuuminator and vote on which one of those you want to see most. And when I next have time to do a review, it'll be one of those things. And then also in between that, I do other kind of stuff, like my most recent in-between video, which just came out a couple days ago, was just me kind of giving an update on what the general state of the channel is now, while also opening some goofy random shit I've had sitting around forever and what I thought would be fun to open on camera. And there'll be other stuff like fan edits, possibly in the future. I might bring that back for myself. Might try and do some gaming content in the future if I'm feeling like a fuckboy. We'll see what happens. You know,
Feeling like a fuckboy?
I'm beginning to feel like a fuckboy. Fuck. I don't know where that came from. It just hit me that I should do that. I'm terrible. But go watch my videos and give me money on Patreon. That would be nice of you to do. Also, follow me on Twitter at The Vacuuminator and follow me on Instagram, also at The Vacuuminator. And if you want to listen to more of this podcast, you can do so by subscribing to Modular Media or listening to it on the go. You go to the link in the description to download the MP3s from the Google Drive folder. And you can follow Modular Media on Twitter for updates on the show, when it's coming out and what's happening with it. That's at The Modular Media on Twitter. And you can subscribe to the subreddit, r/Modular Media. But that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. And we will see you next time when we will be discussing Captain Disillusion. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Disillusion, but it's Captain Disillusion.
Disillusion.
Yeah. Until then, shall we just say the line to do it, to have done it once?
Sure.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Why so serious? Yeah. Okay, bye.